And this idea of Moshe, וגם Moshe היה יכול לצוות שזה יהיה שר אלף. Moshe had the power to command and to say, this guy's going to be in charge of 1,000. And once he decided, the guy got the power. So it still came from the Tzaddik. And therefore, by gazing at them, he knew which guys would have which greatness, which power. And again, through this last sentence, we're almost done with the paragraph, and then we're going to tell a few stories. This sparking of the mind of each person that was caused by the gaze, in other words, Moshe was able to look at the person and see how his mind was illuminated, and then know how much authority and spiritual power he would bestow upon the person. Now, this is a divine power. Clearly, it's one thing to say this guy's in charge of the army and this guy's in charge of the Navy. You know, he's been in the Navy his whole life. This guy hasn't been on a boat in 20 years. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about people that could take responsibility to receive Torah, to give over Torah, and to be part of the tradition of the prophecies that began before Moses. The traditions of prophecy that began with Abraham and even earlier. That when you hear and see such a tzaddik, your mind receives that ability to translate the information to the next generation. And what's it about? It's not about us. It's about the next generation. Now, when I was in Brooklyn and I was by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I saw this with my own eyes. That thousands of people would go to the Rebbe and you would see them go in the room and come out. And you could see their faces changed. Their faces changed. And that was what the Rebbe's describing here 200 years ago, that the tzaddik has this power who is the aspect of Chacham Ador. You see, he shifts the language from Moses to Chacham Ador to tell you it's not just talking about the past, it's talking about every generation. Has this ability to look at the guy and know how much this guy can handle and how much he can and how much good he can do with that. And you see it in the chabad rabbis, you see it. That they're all over the world and they're all setting up synagogues and schools and mikvahs, and they're building, a network, an international network of Judaism already for 40 years? So you see that Rebbe Nachman was gazing into the future about the work of the Tzaddik Ador and how Am Yisrael was going to get rebuilt on an international level. And it's right here, by that gaze of the tzaddik that was able to translate to each person the greatness that was inherent in their soul and their ability to receive and give Torah and make new ideas of Torah, chidushim. And you might say, okay, that's very nice, Avraham, very interesting, but it's 2019. The Rebbe's dead 25 years. What do I do? Well, you could start with YouTube. You can see Rebbe videos. You can gaze at his picture. And even more powerful, you can learn his Torah. Read his letters. Whatever you're capable of. Now, if you don't have the Hebrew, or maybe you have the Yiddish, if you don't have those two, read them in English. It's the ideas themselves are what carry the power. The language just carries the ideas. If you go speak great words of Torah to a Bantu tribesman, he's not going to get the great idea out of it. Unless you're a Rebbe. And then he'll get it anyways. But the tzaddik has this power. And it's not over just Jews either. Okay. So I saw this in 770, and I saw it in the followers and the leaders of chabad. And I've seen it in the Breslovers too, to a lesser degree, because the Rebbe's not been in his body for 200 years. But the people that go to Uman On Rosh Hashanah, you could see something happens to them when they come back. They are not the same. You could see they've been through something, each one at his own level. And some people come back and say, nothing happened. It was a terrible trip. Well, that's because his moach was closed. But if his brain was open, he would have received that sparking too. And that's going to renew his Torah when you receive that. And if you go to Uman on Rosh Hashanah, you're going to get that. So you have the Torah, you have the prayers, you have the pictures, you have the trips, the journeys to the righteous. And then there are people in our generation. The Rosh Yeshiva at Nar Shalom, Rav Beniyahu Shmueli, has been doing this work of building a Torah community based on Kabbalah for 30 years that I've been there. And he's had a lot of success. And I've seen how he runs a class and how he runs a lecture and how he runs a whole auditorium. And you know what? He's totally natural. And you could see the people that receive from him and the difference between those people and the people who just kind of are tourists. They come in, they go out, they listen, they learn a bit, they go on. And this is true by every Rebbe and every Chassidut and every Talmid Hacham in the most Litvish yeshivas as well. There are different levels of attachment to the rabbi, to his teachings, and to his work. So those of us, who are students, our job is just to learn how to be good students. But here the Rebbe's laying out the roadmap for the real people who have this ability, or who may get that ability in the future. But at least when we understand how it works, wow, it changes your antenna. It changes your vision scope over here, and you start seeing things when you hang around long enough. And you see how someone looks at you. If you know a real Rav and you see the way he looks at you, it can have an effect. And it certainly has helped me. Being around Rav Kaduri and being around Rav Beniyahu and being around Rav Beniyahu's father and being around Moshe Bentov and being around other great Hachamim in this generation, every one of them has a certain permutation, if you will, of the light. And that's what the rabbis are supposed to have. And each has their own flavor, and they're all good. All the good flavors in Judaism work together. And this is part of the work of our generation, is to gather all these good sparks from all the Chassidiot, from all the Rabbanim, from all the Litvaks, from every group of Jews, has a spark of good and a spark of truth. And if we don't see that, then we're already locking ourselves outside Klal Yisrael, outside the interconnected unity network of souls called the Shekhinah. So this class, and perhaps there's going to be some more, I hope to continue comparing the teachings of the latter day tzaddikim with those of the earlier day tzaddikim to see how they really were teaching us about their work, to give us faith in their work, to attach us to that work, and to be part of that organic whole called the divine presence in Am Yisrael.